Today, we are so fortunate to have two trailblazers here in the industry with us today in the Hollership. We have Alan and Julie Smithson, this power couple of the Metaverse. Alan is a polymath and his purpose in life is to inspire and educate people to think and act in this socially, economically, and environmentally responsible way. He's made creative tools such as the Emulator tool, which was the world's first touchscreen DJ system, and now he's the co-founder of MetaVrse, which is this low-code platform that makes it easy to create and share interactive 3D experiences instantly on the web. He's also a TEDx speaker and is named one of the most prominent digital futurists to watch out for. Now, I would love to introduce everyone to the wonderful Julie Smithson. She's also the co-founder of MetaVrse, and her mission is to promote gender equality, advocacy, and inspiration for women in tech. And she's also the board chair for XR Women, which is this global community of women working in XR. And she's the host of the leading podcast on XR for Learning. And previous to MetaVrse, she was also the co-founder of Emulator, the world's most advanced DJ system, which won the prestigious 2011 DJ Mag Innovative Product Award. And Julie is a globally renowned speaker on XR and has produced TEDx Toronto. And most recently, Julie presented with the YPO Harvard and One Society about changing the way we teach using immersive technologies. Welcome to the Hollership. How are you both?
Wow, thanks so much for having us. What an intro.
So grateful to be here.
Oh, it's just so incredible to have you both. So first of all, I'd love to hear about how you got into this industry and became the co-founders of MetaVrse.
Well, I think I'm going to take this one because it goes beyond Metaverse. Actually, it started off, Julie and I have been working together for over 20 years now. And it started off, I was a DJ. We had a DJ business together and we had DJs going around to all different events all over the world. And in 2010, we saw this unique technology called the Emulator, and we partnered with the guy who made the software, and we ended up creating the hardware and built this ginormous touchscreen for the world. And we had performers performing on it all over the world. It was just incredible. And we even got on Dragon's Den, which is Canada's version of Shark Tank, which was super cool. We got to go on the show together. We got a deal, so you have to look it up, but it's online. But the cool thing about that is in 2014, I actually got invited to perform on the Emulator at Curiosity Camp. And Curiosity Camp is this camp put on by Eric Schmidt from Google and his innovation endeavors team. Hey guys. Anyway, it was really a revolutionary moment. I got to see things, a glimpse into the future, if you would, because it's by invitation only, and it's very, very interesting people, people working on rockets, people working on drones, people working on, molecular genetics. And so all these people together, and one of those things was VR. And a gentleman named Chris Milk, who is known around the world for VR. And I got to try VR for the first time. And I put it on my head. It was the Oculus DK1 with these big headphones on. And I had this kind of aha moment where I realized, I looked around, I was standing on stage with Beck. And I had this aha moment when I realized this is going to change everything about how we communicate and how we work. And so it was at that moment I said, this is what we're going to do. And shortly thereafter, we exited the Emulator company, and voila, we ended up starting MetaVrse, and that's where we are now.
Wow, that's truly incredible. I love hearing these aha moments, just when you know you're in the right place and you postcards for the future and you are literally driving the future. How about you, Julie?
Sure. Well, I guess I was along for the ride as well, being a mother to two of our girls. Obviously, at that young age, I was focused more on motherhood. But when the Emulator company came into our lives, I shifted to actually producing over 500 of these touchscreen technology units around the world. And that, I think, for me, was the gateway into immersive technology. Right? The touch screen, the actual sensual piece of connecting to the technology through music and of course coordinating and all of that stuff. Being able to build this technology, understanding it, and then moving into Alan coming home and saying, you got to check out this VR stuff, and then we just started building things for VR and AR and 3D, and we had a 360 photo booth. So we started to learn everything that we could about this technology, knowing how much it was going to be a part of our lives and how much it was going to change our lives.
Yeah, wow. I love hearing that. And so when we're here with the Metaverse, and you're both the co-founders of the company MetaVrse, great name. How are you navigating this space when it's moving so quickly, and where do you see it in the year 2030?
Well, so, the interesting thing is we called our company MetaVrse in 2016, spelled METAVRSE, because we figured, cool spelling on it. And we used it every day on LinkedIn for the last 7 years, or 6 years rather. We just celebrated our is it 6 or 7? I can't remember. It was 2016, so 6 years, I guess. We just celebrated a couple of days ago, and we started building all sorts of projects, and it was like, if it had to do with virtual, augmented, or mixed reality, we would do it. We built an augmented reality sandbox, which if you dug in the sand, the projection from above would recognize the depth change and change the topography of the sand. Super cool. We built that into a truck that went across Canada to promote tractors, of all things. But we did all of these different things. We learned how to do the first web AR portal, web AR project for a pharmacy company here that they wanted. They were adamant that they didn't want an app. And so we built this first web AR project. It was the first commercial one we'd ever seen in, I think it was 2016. And we got it to work. And the team basically said, if you ever sell that again, we quit. So we took a step back from web AR. Yeah. But we always knew in our brains, one, it worked. And two, the way to make these things was so incredibly hard. You needed to know Unity, and you needed to know 3D modeling programs. And there was only a few people in the world that knew this stuff. And, there wasn't a lot online of how to make it all come together. It was all kind of like literally making it up as you go. And, but the one thing that we realized was two things, rather, it had to be no app, and it had to be on the web. And if you fulfill those two things, then you basically answered the prayers of every client in the world, because they just want it to work. They don't want to have to deal with that, pushing an app and waiting for the app store to approve it and these types of things. So when we found Paul, and as we were introduced to Paul, our CEO, and his team, they had built this technology, this beautiful web-based technology that was easy to make things. And we said, well, this makes perfect sense. We have the brand and all the customers. You guys have the product, and we put it together in 2019. We launched the product in 2020, and the MetaVRse engine, we called it MetaVRse engine. Yes. And we launched it in 2020 at AWE. And I'm very excited to announce that we are going to be launching 2.0 at AWE this year. So in June, 2 years after we launched the original one, 2.0 will come out, and it is a revolutionary change in how you create 3D experiences on the web. So very excited about that.
Amazing. Congratulations. It's truly incredible. And I agree with what you're saying. You're answering the prayers of everyone basically around the world, because we need democratization and accessibility, and that, is the key driving force to the success of the metaverse, right? So how are your, obviously very positively, but your retailers and clients reacting to this like frictionless, custom 3D engine where it's very easy for them to create these experiences for their brands?
Yeah, I can take that on. So they're trying to process it, to be honest. It's a lot to process. I think just even that term metaverse is really only 6 months old in the massive public domain, right? So, honestly, the clients that we're dealing with are trying to grasp that imagination, that piece of imagination that they need to have to transform their product into this world. So trying to understand the benefits of what we offer in our studio based on building on our MetaVRse engine. Every day is a day of learning, which I think you were going to ask earlier on, how do we keep up with it? And that's our key, is to be constantly innovative and understanding these technologies, because we're all going through the same thing right now. We're all learning together, and nobody in our eyes, well, my eyes anyways, is an expert. We may have started a few years earlier than some other people, and there's some amazing people, especially, women and men, that have been working in this industry for years and years. And it's just now, obviously, because the pandemic and the lockdown, it shifted the entire knowledge base about this technology. But there's a lot of learning to be had right now with enterprise and businesses and people trying to create things. There's new processes, new skill sets that are required in companies to be able to design and think differently. And also companies that were not digital before in any way or focus now have to be. And I think that's one of the big pieces that we're dealing with is we're dealing with every single company needs to digitally transform, and hearing about and learning different processes that create efficiencies in this development process is really key. And it's exciting because that's what we do every day. we help companies come to realize what they need to create, and what it takes to get there.
Amazing. Yes, in the metaverse trenches every day as we all are navigating this space. And yes, companies are either extending and activating digitally in the metaverse, or they are metaverse native and digital first, and then maybe extend to physical products. So such an interesting space, right, to be a part of. So let's talk about The Mall. So it's a product that's part of your game engine platform. And amazingly, in a VentureBeat article recently, it says that The Mall aims to have 100 floors and 100 meter square feet in the metaverse, and is expected to launch in the fourth quarter of 2022. And it'll be, as you said, accessible on the web with no need for a download or an app or a special hardware platform. And it will use blockchain technology with the goal to be the #1 retail and entertainment destination in the metaverse. And I think that's super cool because it's accessible, it's democratized, and the fact that you can experience this all on a web browser. So could you please tell me more about The Mall?
I would love to tell you about The Mall. I am so excited about this thing. I'm in the mall. Like, there's The Mall. So we've been working on retail technologies for years, because we actually had this kind of thought that because Julie works on the training and education side of the business, and I work on the marketing and retail side of the business. And so the business actually consists of right now 2 separate factions that seem separate when you take training and marketing. You're like, how do they jive? But in the 3D world, when you create things for training, you can actually literally bring them over to marketing. So if you're creating a training about a product, you literally just take the same animations, take everything you've already done, maybe change the verbiage, and now your marketing team can use it for that, or vice versa. And so what we realized is that you reuse these assets throughout an organization. And so we've been working really hard to figure out the technologies required to deliver high-end retail experiences where in the metaverse, where you can walk around with your avatar, dress your avatar, buy NFTs, these things. Because again, these things can be used in training, where you go to places, you learn from the best people in the world, you get your badges through NFTs. You see the overlap here. It's the exact same thing. It's just the technology stack is the same. It's the use case that's different. So we really focus on those 2 verticals as a company, and it served us very well. And so the mall came because of working on these retail things, and the whole idea was, how do we make products look real? And so rather than talk about it, can I share my screen?
Yes,
and maybe
please.
give you guys a tour of the mall?
I would love that.
All right. Well, because talking about experiences is not the same as just doing them.
As showing it.
How to make something in the engine, because the backbone of the mall is really the engine and how easy it is to create things. And then what you can do is you can create a store, you can create an experience, and then we geolocate that to a place in the mall, whether it's a floor. And the mall is 100 floors tall, and each floor is 1 million square feet. So it's 100 million square foot space. And so each area has an allotted space. And so we can then say, okay, you build your experience here, you publish to the mall, it goes for approval and lands in your thing. So with that, I'll just show you. I'm just going to make a quick cube here. So I can make a cube, and I stretched it out so I can hit shift and make it bigger or smaller, or if I can stretch it. Same thing with any other 3D design tool, but we can drag and drop almost everything, right? So I can drag that on there, and now we have
hello
a cube. Ooh, and we can go inside of it, and yeah,
it's pretty cool.
There's us. We're all awesome. Okay.
Pretty trippy.
The crazy thing is, once you have this, you can just hit publish, and now everybody who's watching this right now, I'll make it bigger for you, can pull out their phone, and shine your phone on the QR code, and now you have that cube in your hand instantly.
Wow.
So this is, you don't have to download an app, you don't have to push to an app, you don't have to do any of this, it's just instant. And
Wow.
so with that, I'm just gonna get out of this now. You can easily deploy to the mall. And here's the mall here. This is Ava the avatar. She won't be the final avatar, but she's our spokesperson. You can see in her head sometimes, but she's lovely and she's very nice and she blinks from time to time. But the avatar system will allow you to create your own hair, nose, ears, eyebrows, lips, all of these things, all your facial features, as well as your size, and then allow you to design things for your avatar. So you'll be able to, buy necklaces and earrings and shoes and watches and other things. Okay.
Wow.
So you'll be able to walk around and you can buy those and you can resell those things on the secondary markets. So when you're walking through the mall, when you go through a doorway, it puts you into first person. So I can walk around here. I can look at things. I can pick them up. I can interact with them. I can buy them right from here.
Awesome.
I don't see anything I want right here in this store. So we'll go next door.
I
And
like
of
how
course,
it
it's
switches to the
multiplayer,
first
so you can bring your
person.
friends.
I like how it switches to the first person when you enter the shop. Very
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. Maybe shoes. It's a cool store. Now, all of this will be interactable. This is just our prototype right now. So, yeah, there's no brands confirmed, and we're just getting this thing off the ground. We were just featured in VentureBeat, like you mentioned, and so now you've got the ability to meet your friends in a virtual shopping experience, right?
Yeah.
You can look around.
Sony.
You know, now, here's the other thing. You can actually, you can jump.
Spacebar.
Here, we're going to Caterpillar, because why not? It's kind of cool, right?
Yes, so cool. That's amazing. So, how many brands are onboarded to date?
So we'll be making brand announcements very soon. We literally just announced them all. We just finished building the prototype so we can do demos now. And so we've had lots and lots of meetings with people about this, and we'll be making some big announcements soon for all the partnerships. It's pretty awesome. So
that's awesome. Now
it's pretty tricky. It's pretty tricky to put the scopes of work together for these experiences.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what's also a challenging piece. What do you want your space to look like? And it doesn't have to be in that rectangle, right? You can have no, it doesn't have to be there either. Yeah. When you see this bike, why wouldn't you want to see what it looks like when it's riding, through, a valley or mountains or something like that? Why can't it portal you to another dimension while you experience that motorbike? Or Alan, I know Alan uses this one, but if you see a tent in the store, why wouldn't you want to see what a tent looks like in the middle of a forest? And why can't we create these portals that take you to further experiences beyond the mall? And I think that's the key piece here. It's not just about these six walls around you. It's what is inside and what kind of experience can give shoppers, to whether it's try on clothes or place it in your space, try it before you buy it. Yeah. All of these things that build a brand experience with the consumer for them to get closer to a purchase, to want their own. And yes. I think, building out these experiences with these challenges in mind, it's a very hard thing to try and build out. What does that scope look like? What does the design look like in the brand? That's kind of where I come in when I produce these experiences, trying to create that with these clients who have never had to create something spatial. Has been really tricky. Yes. This is an experience that we did for a training experience on the new Samsung Fold and flip phones last year, and coming up with different designs to be able to interact with the experience and share information about these products and think of it in a spatial way, because you can.
Yeah, that's incredible. Right. And I really appreciate what you said, like the scope of it and the high level thinking of how to make these gamified experiences and make it contextual, like around the product. It's so much more than just the product, but it's like portals, as you said, to other dimensions, and then also social interactions. Like, how are people going to socially interact? Are they going to socially interact with one another in the mall, like you would in real life?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And there's a lot more, when it comes to retail, you have to think about integration of systems, inventory systems to start with, right? You can't just start selling things without it being plugged into all the systems that are behind the scenes, checkout processes and, different SKUs and integration systems, single sign-ons and things like that for employees when they, so they can get in there too. There's a lot of systems to set up, not just by, and it used to be a brick and mortar store, right? Put up the walls, put up the hangers, hang up the clothes, and you got a store. This is definitely a lot more complicated than building out a brick and mortar.
But we don't have any fire codes and number restrictions. And you don't have
There's no sprinklers.
You don't need sprinklers, and you don't have to build one in every city. You build one, and it reaches 7 billion people around the world instantly on any device.
Incredible.
It's crazy. This is really, really, we believe the future of how we will buy things as a community, because now, I can invite you here and we can walk around the mall together. We can look at things together. We can experience these things together. Like, this is bringing the joy back to shopping instead of just procurement. When you go on, a website where you just buy things, like an e-com site, they've made it ruthlessly efficient, but not so much fun. And so we want to bring the fun back to shopping.
Bring the fun back to shopping. I love that. And I'm thinking about augmented reality and, how you can sample products and say if you're looking at furniture and see how it would look in your living room. Are there going to be functionalities like that connect to the mall? Is that on the projection of what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. It works out of the box. I'm actually going to pull up a demo for you guys so you can.
Awesome.
I can do it. Yeah,
and again, that depends on, first of all, the brand and what are they projecting in their space, right?
Sure.
So this is where the key is: which technology is best for showcasing your product or your service.
Yes.
Obviously, placed in your space when you're thinking about furniture or anything like that, then yes, augmented reality should be used, or trying on clothes and things like that. But as systems start to connect more and more, and glasses are provided and that sort of thing. So it'll be interesting to see how it evolves from that, but definitely AR is a huge retail feature.
There we go. Now you can see it in the meta.
Awesome.
There's us.
That's definitely meta.
So meta.
I mean, look,
so meta.
The details are not lost on it. You can go inside.
Wow. Yeah, it's very high poly quality. Love it.
You can look outside. There you go. AR.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. So it just shows how fluid this technology is and can really customize to each brand and for the best curated experience possible. So I just want to now touch on interoperability. It's such a big topic in the metaverse, and especially when I think of just how we choose to represent ourselves as avatars. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, generally speaking, and then specific to the mall.
Julie?
Sure. Yeah, no, I can take that one on. So generally speaking, interoperability
with avatars.
Yeah, I know. It's been an avatar day today. So generally speaking, yes, interoperability, everybody's already asking about it because people are creating avatars in one platform. They want to know, how can I bring my platform from that one into this one? We haven't even started collecting, digital goods that we want to create, go back and forth. So this is another big piece that, if I'm collecting something in one world, I want to be able to bring it into the next world with me. Kind of like having a backpack on your back. You want to bring that backpack with you of the items that you purchase, that you trade, your NFTs, your digital wallets. You want to be able to carry that through. And this is something that there's a lot of people that are starting, that have been working on this. There is no immediate solution on it yet because it is being built as we speak. And that's something at the mall we're working on is number one, what does that interoperability mean when you leave our engine? Because we're an engine, right? So if you go into another experience within our own engine, then yes, the interoperability, it would be there. But how do you go from another web link or to another experience that's built out by another game engine? Those types of connections are still a little fuzzy, and we need to make sure that things are put into place so that as a user, as a guest of a space, what you can take with you, what you can't take with you. I think just delivering those expectations from people right now is the most important thing, so that people don't lose, you don't lose a wallet or lose a digital item by closing off. And I think, that's the scary thing. If you purchase something, how do you know you have it? So it's up to experiences like ours to be able to say, you have a shopping bag, that you've taken with you, and you can't go through those walls, or you can only use it here. So it's all about communication, and people are patient if they know or they understand. So it's something that's evolving very quickly. Yeah,
we're all learning together for sure.
That's right. But interoperability, it has to do with avatars. It has to do with the marketplace. It has to do with, ethical applications, data privacy, security, all of those things that you as a human take into the digital world. And what I refer back to is have the humanics, that you are able to communicate with others, that you do understand the technology that's transferring you from place to place, and you know how to use that technology to your benefit. But the humanics around being an avatar in these worlds is always up for conversation, and everybody should stay in touch or be aware of their conscious identity within these worlds.
I totally agree with what you're saying. It's very insightful, and thank you for touching on the ethics as well, because as we are building all these amazing things and navigating this space, we've also got to be mindful, obviously, of the ethics, because behind the avatar is a human. And something I'm interested in is, obviously, when you're conversing and transacting in the metaverse, how do you know you're talking or communicating or transacting with a fellow human behind an avatar, not a deep fake or an NPC or something like that, or an INFT. And so these are all the challenges that we will have to navigate. And Alan, I'm curious to hear what do you think are the challenges with, let's say, interoperability with, open standard protocols and 3D files and all of that?
Sir, from a technical standpoint, we're getting very close to having interoperability. Companies like Epic Games and Unity and Sketchfab, which is now under Epic Games as well, but the 3D repositories, the 3D libraries are all kind of falling on this standard of GLTF and GLB formats. And basically it's a 3D model that can have animations, can have scene information, can have your texture files all on it. So when I give you the file, it has everything ready to go, and I can bring it from platform to platform. And it's really a standard brought on by the Kronos Group, which we're proud members of the Kronos Group. And they're really trying to build everybody to the one standard. Walmart is on there, Target is on there, Apple, Google, they're all sit on this board. But there is this kind of outlier of USDZ, which is a format that Apple uses. And so, our engine, we are aiming to be ubiquitous. So we're aiming to, drop an FBX, an OBJ, a GLTF, GLB, and eventually a USDZ file in, and it just recognizes it. We use our own binary format called the C3B file. It stands for Cherry 3D, which was the original company behind the technology. So we kept that as our little ode to the past. And we have our own binary format, which we convert to, and we can now create entire scenes. We can tie that mesh, that object to an NFT. You can then trade them, and we host everything, right? So we just hold on to the hosting of that and take care of it in perpetuity. The idea is that you can now trade the NFT, which is just a tag telling you own this digital object, but you're entrusting us with the holding of that object, and that object is really yours. And if you want to take it out and transfer it to another platform, you should have that right. But we need to be able to say, okay, well, here's the GLB file, and you should be able to drop it into Decentraland and it works, and that type of thing. So I think we're not far off, because I think Sandbox and Decentraland are all starting to accept GLTX as well. So we're getting there. We've tested the Ready Player Me avatars, and they work on our system. We're building our own avatar system right now, but you can bring Ready Player Me avatars in. So it's getting there. It's getting exciting. It's very close. Now, full interoperability, I think, it depends on the device you're playing on. Are you going to be able to take your character, in Call of Duty, out of your PS5 and put it on a mobile phone? No, probably not. So there's trade-offs to do that. So I think the interoperability, and maybe we have smart AI compression algorithms or something that takes it from a PS4 level quality and makes it available on a phone, sooner than later. These types of things are really hard problems to solve. So there's a lot of people thinking about them, though.
Yeah, and do you see like economics being a friction point for some companies in terms of interoperability, whereas others see it as a unique competitive advantage to have interoperability?
Well, I think Mark Zuckerberg, was right, in wanting to have an interoperable metaverse. I think if the metaverse is the internet, just kind of the future of the internet, then it's all interconnected. And so, it needs to work as I need to be able to transfer you a 3D object as easy as I transfer you a JPEG. And we're getting there. We're really, really getting close. So over the next kind of 3 or 4 years, we're going to ratify all these standards, and it's just going to be easy to make these things. Our engine is all drag and drop. You saw it just boom, 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 and it's done. And so, you're starting to see tools come out where soon you'll be able to say, I saw technology. I can't even make this up. You say, make me a room that has blue walls, a gray floor, and looks futuristic. And it'll create your little room there. And you say, okay, I need a palm tree and 5 rabbits. And the palm tree will be there, and the 5 rabbits will start hopping around the room. It was mind blowing. You literally just talked to it, and it kind of created this room. It was low poly, like it wasn't any going to win awards for graphics, but it worked.
Wow.
So imagine that in 5 years from now. It's going to be, you just say anything. I want a cartoon in anime style forest with psychedelic sea creatures flying through the air. It's going to just do it.
Wow.
And instantly. And so this is where we're going. When AI meets the creative minds of the world, watch out. It's going to be nuts.
Watch out. I love that. And it's so exciting just being as well a creator in this Web3 creator economy. NFTs have unlocked this complete new value model that's operated, created, and owned by both the creators and the community. And Julie, I'd love to hear, when do you think we've reached the tipping point of mass adoption with the metaverse, with all these next-gen technologies, or are we not quite there yet? And then my second part of the question is, what can you say for people that might be concerned that AI might, obviously take over tasks and jobs, but at the same time, how can we future-proof ourselves for the metaverse by even 2030?
Sure. I think that we have not hit the tipping point. We're still very scarce in understanding what the solutions are. I do believe that the next generation, kids that are going to graduate school will throw us into that massive adoption. So I feel like, we're at a calm right now. Even next year, it'll still be a kind of figuring things out. There's a couple of drivers that'll change that. The Apple glasses, that's one. But I also feel like that this next generation is really going to start to throw that interactivity piece into their mobile devices, which everybody has at the extension of their hand, right? They're going to want more than just tapping on their screen. They're going to want to interact. And I've always said this, like, people are going to want to go into their technology, and it's going to be more than just tapping or scrolling. It's going to be, I want to pinch and zoom. And we talked about this in last week of, what makes somebody want to pinch and zoom and interact with an object on their devices. And I think we'll start to see more and more of that and more need of that. And that will kind of be that gateway into more of the immersive technologies. Coming back to three.
You remember?
Yeah.
Hold on, wait 1 second. Do you remember the time when when you went to a computer store and you would never think to touch the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
now if you went in a computer store, you would assume that all the screens are touch. And in
Mm-hmm.
fact, the stores had to start putting stickers saying not a touch screen because people were putting their fingers on it. And so we're probably maybe 3 years away from being like that point, that tipping point where it's like, we just assume everything's in 3D. Why wouldn't it be?
Mm-hmm.
Like
That's right.
Walmart has invested heavily, Amazon's invested heavily. All the major retailers in the world have invested in creating 3D assets and pipelines for creating them quickly. So there's every single object in the world will be converted to 3D. Most of them we have because we have CAD models. We can just convert them using software, but everything. And the phones now, the Apple phone, even my Android phone has a LiDAR scanner in it. And now you can walk around an object and LiDAR scan, 3D scan an object. It's kind of hokey a little bit now, but in a couple of years, they're going to master that. AI will fill in the blanks. Whatever you walk around, you will have a perfect 3D photorealistic, low poly, very lightweight asset that you can transfer in and out of the metaverse. And so people are scanning everything because you can make $10 for it, and you can sell it on OpenSea, right? So
right.
You're going to see.
So taking your 3D and where we're headed. This is something that we've talked about a long time ago, that we were never teaching 3D in school. People don't know how to build in 3D. So this comes to now around full circle to what Metaverse is doing. We want to create spatial computing for everyone, right? And having people understand how to apply spatial designs to things, that is a whole new skill set on its own. So when people start to say AI is taking over, there's also on the other side, all of these new jobs that are starting to be created. And we do have, we are missing people in those roles. So we have to figure out, how are we going to train and educate people about spatial design, spatial awareness and application in these new experiences. And that's something that we're working on. We're actually building up micro-credential courses for our engine and editor, so to help people understand how to apply these different ways of building things. And we want this to go into mainstream courses, into high school, into, understanding how textures are applied, and what is a skybox, and, all of these different things that we need people to create them. So I guess that kind of turns the corner into our feeling of this year is going to be the year of the creator. Just like yourself, you're going to bloom, you're going to start to figure out where your tools are that you can start to kind of design. And, part of Alan's and my mission is to inspire that imagination that's out there, that's lacking a little bit. We need to figure out how to inspire people. And by giving them tools to be able to design this way, we'll hopefully do that.
Amazing. That's very inspiring what you just said. And yes, it is like for the creators as well. Unfortunately, in like Web 2, we couldn't really accrue value in the value chain. It would go to the platforms, but creators are now working out that they are valuable, and we are culture, obviously. And, it's so incredible how democratized the tools are. So every day I'm learning in Unreal Game Engine, and UE5 just came out, and my mind is completely blown away. But just how high, fidelity and the ray tracing and just everything about it. So yeah, definitely the jobs of the future, and new jobs will be created. And this actually segues really nicely into my final question, which is actually about education. So you both sent me this beautiful letter explaining that you're dedicating 25% of your shares to developing, as you were kind of saying earlier, Julie, the Metaverse education system. And I know you have a daughter. And so do you want to talk more about that, the education for the future generations?
Right on.
Sure. So we have two daughters, Abby and Holly, and they just got home. So we have a vision. A few years ago, 8 years ago now, we had this idea that if we could bring people together in this kind of metaverse world, in a virtual world, they could literally be in any environment in the world, and you could teach them contextually the things they needed in VR. But VR is taking a lot longer to take off than we thought. So we managed to figure out how to do it on phones, which everybody has. And now you can still have them. Of course, it's not the same as putting VR on, but you can still have virtual worlds. And in these virtual worlds, you can have the best teachers in the world teach one to many, and it feels like one to one. And this is something that you can't do in any other way. And so when you tack on AI to this and you tack on blockchain for distribution and holding of credentials and also gamifying learning, the idea behind all this was, how do we create a new education system that teaches the fundamentals of success through habitualized learning while rewarding people for doing what's best for them? And so using AI to deliver customized learning to the individual, and everything they do, they get a coin, they get paid for. And when they get that coin, they also get points to own the company. And so that's our vision, is to create this unlimited awesome academy where students from all over the world, as long as they have a smartphone, they can participate in this new economy and be paid in crypto to learn in habitualized ways what will make them better and more successful and more prepared for the exponential future of humanity.
Learn to earn and future of humanity. Wow, that was so inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing that. Julie, would you like to add anything about that?
I think, it's the pieces and parts to it are starting to come together. It's a vision that's taken many, many years, but because we're working in right at the forefront of innovation, we can see how learning has to change, and all the elements around being able to apply your own skill sets into doing what you love to do, but also having the perseverance today, because there's so much, the perseverance of, gratitude and deep breathing and exercising and taking care of our own selves before we head into critical thinking and entrepreneurial skill sets and taking care of the earth. Even if you don't take care of yourself, how do you apply yourself to these? It's definitely a different change of learning, because it's not so linear. It's every day there's something new, and how to manage that personally and mentally is so important. So that's, perseverance is number one in the UAA program. And even personally myself, I know Alan too, like we try to adhere to some of these, things, and to persevere every day, to be able to do what we do every day, and to be able to manage clients' expectations of innovation where they're so high and they're so, agile and moving all over the place. So, education is not just for us or for you, it's for everybody. And it's interesting because I'm working a lot right now on training, where the term training is actually being changed to education, because nobody is able to teach other people, because everybody's learning at the same time. So we're not learning from our forefathers anymore.
Great.
So we're all learning together.
100%. Now, Alan, what are you sharing here? This looks amazing.
So this is the white paper. I won't get into the white paper on this call. It's for another episode. But this is our Unlimited Awesome Academy, the vision for a new education and economic system for the exponential future of humanity. And so by enabling people to learn by the best teachers in the world, and prepare your mind for a really uncertain future. AI is a real game changer, and I don't think people truly understand the ramifications and unintended consequences that we may face as society when entire swaths of jobs are uprooted and changed in what will seem like an instant. It's like the boil a frog thing, right? The frog doesn't feel it if you boil them over a long time, but if you drop them in hot water, it's hot. The climate crisis that we're currently in, these things are there, and we're boiling our frogs, and we are the frogs, unfortunately. So we need to make sure that the next generation has the knowledge, the network, and the funding to solve the world's greatest challenges, because the next generations will have the answers, and they, if given the tools and shown the opportunities, will be able to solve the greatest challenges we've ever faced, and they're yet to come.
Amazing. This is very inspiring, and yes, it's all about empowering the next generation as well, and even us, like learning every day, even though there's experts, but it's that humbleness. I really value that because things are moving so quickly. And thank you so much for giving back through this education initiative for future generations. I think that's a beautiful way to end. I've got to have you both back on the show at some point, but thank you for joining the Holoship today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks for having us on the Holoship.